So what are we going to do about the educational curriculum? Because that's where it begins. They don't want us knowing our history. They don't want us knowing where we came from. Because if you are a person without a history, who are you? Where do you come from? As Africans, we are too busy running away from who we are. We don't want to embrace our Africanness. Why not? If you refuse and don't accept your Africanness, then who are you? I'm a king. Yes. So when I went to Ghana, I stayed at a beautiful hotel. When I walked into the room, right above the headboard was a humongous photograph of Queen Elizabeth. And I thought to myself, now I am going to go to bed tonight with the shadow of Queen Elizabeth hanging over me. What kind of dreams was I going to have that night? I nicely found time. I called my VP and I said, could you help me take this photograph down? We shall put it back tomorrow morning. Because tonight I intend to have good dreams. Why is it that in 2024, we still have the photograph of Queen Elizabeth hanging over the walls of hotels in Ghana? Sure. And not a single photograph of a king or a chief from Ghana? We know when it comes to West Africa, the document that African countries were made to sign as they attained their quote-unquote independence, the document that's labeled the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. On one hand, we are giving you your independence, but on the other hand, we want you to sign this document, agreeing to continue to be colonized. Sure. And if you choose not to sign this document, in my pocket, I have a gun that has your name. Guinea and Mali, they chose not to sign the document. That France moved into those countries, poured concrete into the sewage pipes, destroyed schools, hospitals, roads, anything that could be destroyed, they destroyed. Anything that they could pick up and take back with them to France, they took. They even took the last pencil. This was done as a way of letting the other African countries know that should you refuse to sign this document, this was the fate that awaited you. You have to give up 85% at that time of your bank reserves, deposit them with France. Those funds, once gone, they're not coming back. All your minerals discovered and yet to be discovered belong to France, and French companies had the first right of refusal. Your language of instruction shall be French. Your military can only be equipped by France. Your military can only be trained by France. You must give up control of your finances. You must give up control of your natural resources. You must give up control of your military. Now, if you stay away from those, you are free to run your country as you wish. What kind of a country are you running? What kind of a leader are you? To this day, those African countries are still required to deposit their bank reserves with France. Now, the numbers have gone down some. They're down to the 50, 55, 60. But by and large, with the exception of Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali that said, France, pack your bags and go home. The rest of the African countries are still subjected and held to the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. But our leaders for various reasons, and we know those who have tried to pull away, they've either been assassinated or exiled. So the realities are there, that if African leaders try to push back, there's some serious consequences. In spite of all that, there are some other issues that they also could deal with. We know the NGOs are nothing but wolf in sheep's clothing as they come into our countries. A lot of embassies as well. We have a few nice embassies, but we have many countries that are also just here to make sure that they continue to destabilize the countries. They make sure that the elections are forever interrupted. Why is it that we are all fully aware that the loans that are being given to African countries, the loans that have been given to African countries for centuries, are frivolous loans that have been paid 1,000,000 times over? Why is it that our ministers of finance every year, twice a year, they go to the World Bank? They know what's going on, but they say nothing. What is keeping us as Africans from coming together and speaking with one voice and letting the World Bank know?
So welcome, guys. Welcome those of you who are just joining. Share the live. Let others know that we are on. Today, I promise those of you, I would redo a part 2 of Dr. Arikana and her chilling message to Caribbean and African leaders. So guys, share the live and let others know that we are on. Let's continue to take a listen.
IMF, that we have paid for these loans a gazillion times over. We aren't paying for them no more. What are we afraid of? Why can't we just say it like it is? It is damn wrong. And it cannot continue.
Yeah, and that is a big question. You know, why can't a lot of African leaders say it as it is? You know, what is it that we are afraid of? What is it our African leaders are afraid of? You know, we need to change this. We need to stand firm and stop beating around the bush with these people, because they are getting more and more vicious as the day goes by. We African leaders and Caribbean leaders have to start being firm on what they do. Yeah, we have to stand firm on what they do. Trump is not the only one that we should be talking about. He's a man that says and speaks his mind. You know, we have to speak our mind as well and stand firm on what we believe.
But we're afraid. You see, they defeated us where it matters the most. That even things that we have the ability to change, we are afraid of changing them. When the Europeans first came to Africa, they brought us religion. And then we went to church. And they taught us about a human being called Jesus Christ. And they talked about the angels, and they talked about who are in heaven, a place we all want to go to. They're beautiful, they're angelic, they're desirable. And oh, by the way, they're white. And oh, by the way, we are white, like the angels. But remember, in school, they told us this was white. But never mind how we look. We may look rather pinkish, but don't disregard that. We are white believers. Then they turned around and said there's something called hell. And there's a devil there. Ugly, undesirable, does all the horrible things, and that creature is black. And oh, by the way, you too are black. Yeah. Never mind this black color that we told you in school. A blatant lie was told to us, and we
And that is the part of the brainwashing that we, I got a taste of that. In school, they taught us that whatever is white is good, is clean, is pure, and whatever is black, black represent evil, black represent darkness, and, white people are associated with angels and blackness is associated with devil, you know. And that is some of the things they brainwash us with. Yeah, and she's true. That what she's talking is right.
We have never stood up to say that's a damn lie. I'm not black. They're not white. You look like the devil because we told you so. We look like the angels because we told you so. So it is when a little 5-year-old black boy is given 2 sets of dolls, black dolls and white dolls. And he's asked which one is mean, he points at the black one. He's asked which one is ugly, he points at the black one. He's asked which one is nice, he points at the white one. Which one is beautiful, he points at the white one. And then when asked which one is more like you, he sheepishly points at the black one. The 5-year-old boy is defeated before his life even begins. Somehow, there are subliminal messages that this boy just knows it. Think about it. So that same little boy who grew up to be the Minister of Education, he's not going to like anything to do with him. So yes, European history is where it's at. African history? No. You, African educators, you don't read your own work in order to be tenured. Many professors, to be tenured, they got to write 10, 20, 30, 40 papers. And those papers can only be reviewed in Europe, in the United States, by credible universities.
That is true, guys. Have you noticed that it is the Europeans that continue to tell the story of Africans, the history of Africans, have been told by white people. Most of the times when I'm watching documentary about Africa, it's a white man or a white narrator that, a woman or whoever it is that is telling the story. Why are they telling us our story? Why can't the story be told by Africans? And you know that when you write certain things about Africa, it has to be reviewed, as she says. It must go through them. They have to review it. And as they say, by credible sources, credible universities, credible scholars. Why can't it be reviewed by our own universities, by our own scholars, by our own people? So it only goes to show how it is important more than ever that Caribbean and African leaders have to break ties with these people. We cannot continue like this. We cannot.
So I said to the professors, you don't trust each other? You are not credible? If you can't trust each other, why should we parents trust you with our children? To be tenured in universities in Africa, your work has to be reviewed outside Africa. What's wrong with having universities in North Africa send their work to Southern Africa? Universities in West Africa send their work to East Africa. But no, black professors are going to be reviewing it. It's not acceptable. They won't have the same weight. Stupidity has got to come to an end. It is filtering through to everything that we are doing. I am telling you, my brothers and sisters, we are the laughing stock of the world.
And she's so right. This stupidity, this foolishness has to come to an end. It's really foolish when you think about it. That we always have to wait on the external sources to give us approval. That's foolishness to me, and that has to come to an end. And the only how this can come to an end is when our leaders gather the courage to break ties with these people.
The current U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, and I'm going to call her out. She was fired by President Trump when I was going to Washington. She used to come to my office, and she would say, Ambassador, talk to the ambassadors. They need to speak up. When she was the former Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, she said, Ambassador, I'll be sitting on this side with the American side, and there'll be the Africans over there. She said, if they could just say some obvious things that would help her come back and make decisions and recommend certain changes. But the Africans don't speak. Tell these ambassadors to speak up. Why are we afraid? Because we were defeated where it matters the most. The mind. So no matter how hard we try to change our Africa, until we heal from the legacy of colonization, nothing we try to do is going to succeed. If we don't heal from the legacy of colonization, we will continue to be used as instruments of our own self-destruction. I challenged ECOWAS when they were trying to mobilize the military to go and fight Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. Oh, we can have a coup. I said, help me understand something. France has had coups against these nations for centuries. When France is forcing these countries to deposit their bank reserves with France, that's a coup. President Tinubu, what have you done about this coup? You are sitting on the big boy chair now. Talk to me. What are you going to do about this coup? When France is making sure that all natural resources for these countries belong to France, that's a coup. What are you going to do about it, ECOWAS? But somehow, we don't see them as coups because it's the white men doing it. If a black man was doing the same thing to another black man, oh, you know, they'll call them out in a heartbeat. We have a serious problem as Africans. We don't even realize how sick we are with this disease. We are not just sick at home. We are not just sick in the doctor's waiting room. We are not just sick in the general ward in the hospital. We are in the intensive care. As a doctor, I cannot help you unless you come to me with your complaints. At least recognize that you're sick. But most of the time, we don't even realize that we are sick. This stupidity that is going on in Africa has got to come to an end. And you can't expect those who put us in positions of servitude to get us out. It's not going to happen. When is the African going to wake up? The African is stupid in Africa. The African is stupid in America. The African is stupid in South America. The African is stupid in the Caribbean. Wherever you see us as black people, we do some of the most stupid things. You go into neighborhoods. In America, where I've spent most of my time, look at the Mexicans. They stick together like super glue when it comes to issues pertaining to their existence in the United States as Mexicans. The Irish, the Jews, the Chinese, the Indians ask for their voices loud and clear because they understand the importance of unity. They don't have to love each other. But they understand when it comes to issues pertaining to their sheer existence, they must stick together like superglue. But when we ask for the voices of black people, we scatter like mice. We don't believe in each other.
And that is true. When it comes to unity as black people, we have a problem. Black people, we don't, most times we don't unite when it comes to issues that threaten our coexistence as a black nation. We don't unite. Rather, some of us, we side with those who are oppressing us. We side, and that goes way, 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 way back in colonial times, slavery times. When on the plantation, when slaves were fed up with the treatment that they was getting, or enslaved people, and they chose to rebel, there were some of their fellow enslaved brothers and sisters who went and sell them out to the plantation slave masters. They went and told the slave masters, look at what they're planning. Their own people selling them out, and even to this day we continue to sell out each other. We are, black people, we really don't know how to unite. We really don't know how to unite. As she said, she has spent most of her time in America. Most of her time she has lived, worked in America. And when she look at every neighborhoods, the Mexicans, the Irish, the Jews, the Hispanics, they all unite when issues arise. But not us black people. We don't believe in each other. We tell on each other. We betray each other. We gossip on each other. And we side with those who are oppressing us. We side with them. So it's very, very sad. Very, very sad.
I was in Dallas and one Zimbabwean, I was asking, are there a lot of Zimbabweans who are you? No, I don't talk to Zimbabweans. I'm the only black person in my neighborhood. And she was so proud of it. I'm speaking to another friend, this time in Zimbabwe. She was so proud that her son cannot speak Shona, and that the son speaks English like a British. And she's telling me this with a certain level of pride. And that's the mother, which means the child is just as doomed. When are we going to wake up and realize that our inability to move forward as a people is because we were defeated where it matters the most? What are we going to do about the educational curriculum? Because that's where it begins. They don't want us knowing our history. They don't want us knowing where we came from. Because if you are a person without a history, who are you? Where do you come from? As Africans, we are too busy running away from who we are.
And she's right. A lot of us, we are still ashamed of our African heritage. You know what the Europeans did? They manufacture false hair, false nails, false eyelash, and they give it to us. They sell it to us, and they tell us, look, cover up. A lot of us, we think it's fashion, but it's not just fashion. It's a way to cover up, our Africanness and be ashamed of who we are. I just the other day I heard a black sister calling another black sister picky hair, gorilla. And these are the kind of things we do. We call each other names. We run down each other as though blackness, as though the African hair, the African things are inferior. They give us makeup, all kind of things to cover up our African beauty. And she's right. We are so busy running away. We're also busy running away from who we are and embracing who we are. And this we need to change this, brothers and sisters. We really do need to change this.
We don't want to embrace our Africanness. Why not? If you refuse and don't accept your Africanness, then who are you? You can never speak English like an American. Then you don't want to speak your own vernacular. Then who are you? You are just like a ship without an anchor. The wind blows that way, there you go. The wind blows that way, there you go. And there are too many of us who find themselves in that boat without an anchor. What's happening in Burkina Faso must be supported. What's happening in Mali must be supported. What's happening in Niger must be supported.
Of course, we must support what's happening in Mali, in Niger, and in Burkina Faso. We must support it, my people. My Caribbean leaders, we must support the Sahel. My African leaders, we must support the Sahel. It's the only way Africa can move forward. We must take the example. We must follow the footsteps of Ibrahim Traoré. We must follow the footsteps of the juntas that are in Mali and Niger. We must gather the courage. I know it will not be easy, but we must find the courage to break free and cut ties with these brutal oppressors once and for all.
The least bit about our future. How else are we going to get France out of Africa? How else are we going to get Britain, Germany, all those former colonizers? They're now in as multinationals, siphoning billions out of Africa, using safe havens to hide their returns. We know they're here. They are now wolf in sheep's clothing. If you look at the move that Niger made, by simply saying, France, you can no longer buy our uranium for 80 cents a kilo, when we know very well you're selling it for 200 euros per kilo. Niger was realizing about 1 billion out of the sales of its uranium a year, while France was realizing close to 300 billion. That one move alone, when Niger said, if you want our uranium, 200 euros a kilo, please. Immediately, 300 billion, 1 million. It's not going to take much to change Africa. We got what it takes. If there's one thing we're very fortunate of, we're endowed with everything the rest of the world needs. We don't need the world. The world needs Africa. But do we really know that and believe in it and are ready to stand up and proclaim who we are?
That is so true, guys. They make us believe that Africa needs the world, but it is the world, it is them, the West, the Europe. It is them who needs Africa. The world needs Africa. You know, the world needs Africa because Africa is the breadbasket of the world. If it wasn't for Africa, a lot of these countries that are boasting that they are developed and they are ahead of other countries, they would not have been in the position that they are in today if it wasn't for Africa, its minerals, and her resources. So the world needs Africa more than Africa needs the world.
And let them know. But I've sat in meetings where I've seen ministers, America, can you help us with this? Europe, can you help us? Begging endlessly for something that we have. Whatever they are giving you is what they stole from us. And they are giving you peanuts. When are we going to stop being outsmarted by these people? They come to give you aid. You know very well that's your money. But we're so grateful. It's the same thing they're doing at the United Nations. When Africa is supposed to be at the UN Security Council as the 6th and 7th members of the UN Security Council. But you can't have veto power. So come on in, Africa. Oh, we got a kiddie chair over here for you. Sit over there, we got some cookies. Sit over there and be quiet while we take care of business. And we entertain that. Wow. What's wrong with us? What gives me hope is that we have a vibrant African youth who are saying enough is enough. We are not taking this anymore. This abuse has got to come to an end. The exploitation of the African continent has got to come to an end. As long as there's a country called Malawi, as long as there's a country called Gabon with 1.5 million people, as long as there's a country called Eswatini, Berlin Conference is alive and well. And that's where we get defeated internationally through trade. Oh, you're all equal. You are a sovereign nation, Eswatini. You are a sovereign nation, Togo. You are a sovereign nation, Malawi. So let's go to the market. You, Malawi, with your little basket with 3 eggs, you're coming to the market. And here comes China with truckloads of eggs. I once was told that Zimbabwe thought, well, let's see if we can sell eggs to China. Let's supply some eggs. They're bringing stuff to us. Let's give them eggs. So I told the president, ask people to go do some research and see how much eggs we need to send to China. The report came back and said, Mr. President, the amount of eggs we produce the whole year, that's one breakfast in China. So you want Zimbabwe to go to the market with China and sell eggs. As we speak today, we're all sick from the disease. None of us is exempt. And that's a fact. I'm going to ask each and every one of you to have a serious conversation with the image in the mirror. And ask yourself why you feel the way you do. Why are you automatically afraid of those who don't look like you? Why do you feel defeated? Why are you afraid to speak up and stand your ground?
Okay, so guys, I will end it here. Thank you all for joining me. Let me know what are your thoughts in the comment section below. Take care. God bless you until next time.